Hey YouTube, this is going to be a review of the Valken VMAX Plus, which is the newest hopper from Valken. And these are just going to be my honest thoughts on it after using it for a little while. What I think they did right, what I think they did wrong, and whether or not you should get it. Now, before I start, I just want to say this is an outstanding product for the price. This is only a $60 hopper, and I'm just going to be honest. This is the poor man's rotor. It is a workhorse, and it'll definitely get the job done if you're on a budget and you need a hopper that will absolutely keep up with any gun you can throw at it. So, let's start with the how it feeds. So it feeds really well. It feeds really quickly. It keeps up with stuff. I know I threw this on one of my friend's G-Techs, and it kept right up on 12.5. So that's not going to be a problem. We used it on Cap Semi. That wasn't a problem. So this feeds. It keeps up. It works really well in that department. Now, the reason I think this works so well is because if you're not familiar with the VMAX 1 and 2, they used a wheel sensor. And the wheel, it was a little wheel that went right here and on the inside. And every time a ball went down the feed neck, it would spin the wheel and it would tell the wheel to spin, this wheel, the rotor. And that would feed balls. The problem with that was once you got towards the end of your hopper, being out of paint, and there were no balls rolling down this, it wouldn't feed. It would not force balls down into the feed neck. So you would have to shake the hopper and hope that one would roll down into the feed neck, and then it would feed for a second, and then it would stop again, and you're in the same problem. So what they did this time was, if I turn it on, there's an eye sensor now, which, if for those of you who don't know, that means that if there is a ball in here and it's breaking the beam, it will not spin. There's a little laser beam that goes right here, and if there's a ball that's breaking that beam, it will not spin, which causes it's not going to break the paint that it's forced into the feed neck because there's already paint down here. If the beam is not broken, it's going to feed because it knows that there's not a ball down there. That's pretty much how it works. And I took a leap of faith on this when I bought it. I really didn't know if the eye system was going to be better than the wheel system. And let me just tell you, it is. Man, it is. It is a proven platform for hoppers and how to feed paint into a gun. So really good in that department. The next thing I want to move on to is the lid. This is a really good lid. It does not open like any of the other hoppers that I've tried to open. Once you snap it down, it does not go up. Like, I'm really putting some force behind it. It does not just pop up. The reason being is because there's actually this hook that latches the lid in place actually goes up and under quite a distance underneath this lip. So when it goes down and it closes, you actually have to bend the lid forward in order to get it to flip up. So it unhooks it. This is a fantastic design for a lid. Yeah, it takes a little more time to open, but you can take a dive and really give this thing a beating, and that lid's not going to come off. Your paint's safe once it's in here and the lid's closed. That's pretty much all I have to say on the lid. It's a really great lid. It's a really great way of doing it, and it works really well. Now, if you get a speed feed for this, I don't have the speed feed for it. There are 3 companies I know make speed feeds for it, and I can't remember the name of one, but HK makes one, and Valken makes one. I think the third one's Virtue, but I could be wrong. I have heard multiple bad things about all of the speed feeds that are made by companies other than Valken. So if you're going to get a speed feed for this, get the Valken speed feed. And I've seen them on this hopper. They work really well. It looks like there's a lot of space in between the teeth they put on that speed feed, but there's actually It's actually a smaller distance than you think it is. It's going to keep your paint in your hopper. And it works the same way as this. You have to push it in to open the speed feed, so your speed feed's not going to pop open if you take a dive into snake or something. It's going to be safe. So that's pretty much, oh no, last thing on the outside. This battery compartment, this is super hard to get open. And part of that's my fault because I've painted this. This is not one of the designs that it comes in. I've painted this. This is a very hard battery door to get open, even without the paint on it. You really have to pry and you really have to break it in before it'll open for you. That's like the only complaint I have about this hopper though. This battery door is super hard to get open and it takes 2 9-volts to power. Like those are the only 2 complaints that I have. It uses really expensive batteries and its battery door is really hard to get open. So battery department didn't really do a really good job on this hopper. They could have done better. On the upside, these hoppers have had a history of draining batteries if you leave them in here even when the hopper's off. This hopper does not seem to have as much of an issue with that. It's still, like, there's still a noticeable drop in feed rate after about 2 weeks of leaving the batteries in. And that's after going out and playing in the middle of that and everything. But there's a noticeable drop after about 2 weeks of leaving the batteries in. So yeah, this thing drains your batteries if you leave them in there. So take them out when you're done, and you should be fine. So the last thing that I want to talk about is how to get it apart. So you're gonna pop the lid. There's a little tab underneath the back, and you press it down, and that pops the back up. And then you're gonna push forward on the back of the loader, and that's going to pop it right off the top. So you're going to have 2 halves. This hook goes right in the front, right here, and you're going to actually do the whole thing reverse. So next is the tray. If you can see, the tray that surrounds this thing. So that's just a nice soft piece of plastic. You're not going to break paint by jumping up and down. It's going to be fine. It has a lot of give to it. And the next thing, right here, is this little tab. So you're going to flip that open, and then you can lift this out. Now this just pops right out. It's got cords on it and stuff. You know, a lot of things you don't want to hurt. And it is toolless. You are able to take this out without any tools. Now getting it back in is another story. I'd be really careful because this little thing, it does come out, and you can get it out without unscrewing the board and then popping it out like that. You can get it out. I'd be really careful when putting it back in because there's long pins on what these cords connect to, and pushing them back in, you might end up bending one and not being able to get it back in while you're on the field. So yes, you are able to disassemble this enough. Let me just say, you are able to take this apart enough to get any gunk out that might be in there that's causing you any problems. So you can lift this out, just turn it over to the side, clean out whatever you need to, and then just put this back in, and you're ready to put the hopper back together. So that snaps back in. You turn the knob until you hear the click. Went too far. Next, you're going to put this back in. It just goes into the back first. There's a little rectangular hole underneath the tab that you pressed to get the top shell out. You're going to make sure that this is seated in that hole, and then you're going to press down on the front until you hear it click. And then your tray's in. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to see this hook underneath the front of the top shell is going to go into this tab holder right here. And you're just going to press until you get it to line up. Then you're going to press on the back until it snaps. Don't worry, nothing broke. It's a really loud sound, but it's going to snap. And then your lid goes back on. Fill it with paintballs, go play paintball. So super easy. This is an extremely fantastic product for the price. It really delivers in every aspect. 2 things that I didn't like about it that I really wished they had included: a easier way to install batteries and a way to use batteries that don't cost as much, like AA's, but you're paying $60. This is what you get. And the other thing is an anti-jam system. There's no, if your balls jam in this hopper, there's no way to get them out without taking the top shell off or popping the lid and trying to get your hand in here to open it. You can, I mean, I have small hands, I can get my hand all the way in there, but I mean, if you have bigger hands, it's going to be a struggle. You know, you're going to have to take this off your gun, you're going to have to figure out where the jam happened, you're going to have to get it open. This propeller system is extremely light. So, like soft on paint, it's not going to break your paint. It's not going to hurt your paint. If anything, it's just going to be really gentle on your paint. So I haven't encountered any jams with this, and I've played with it 4 times now. So thanks for watching, and I hope this really helped you guys make a decision on whether or not to get this hopper.